Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about being true to your anointing. Your anointing is yours and yours alone. Have you ever felt like you're either anointed for something or given a gift for something, or you're really good at something, and you feel like it's what you're supposed to be doing? But if you ask other people about it and you start to get opinions, then you will get plenty of opinions and it'll cause confusion. So you've got to be true to your anointing. You've got to walk in your anointing. Your anointing is yours and yours alone. I believe we all have one, and those of us who have sought it out will be guided to what they should be doing, what their calling is. No matter what anyone says, it doesn't matter what anyone says, because this is yours and yours alone, and they don't know how you feel. They don't know your relationship with God. They don't know the steps that you're taking. They don't know your true being within yourselves. In fact, there was a talk show a while back, and I can't remember who it was that was on there, but she said something like, we've got to nourish our anointings. And those of us who acknowledge it and step forward into it are so blessed. I mean, not only will it come easy to us because we're being guided. When it's your anointing, I believe you get a special type of guidance. When you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, there's so much resistance. Have you ever noticed when you're trying to pursue something that gets so difficult? My theory is that when things get too difficult, they're not meant to be. So I believe that when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, things just kind of flow. You know, there's that saying about if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I believe that's true when you honor your anointing, your calling, or what you're meant to be doing. There's so much to be said about this topic. It's like in the beginning, all that we've talked about, all that we've studied and learned about being free, being in the present moment, meditating, praying. I think we need all those things to have a clear head, to be able to accept our anointing. In fact, I refer to TV a lot because, like I said before, I get my epiphanies wherever they come from, wherever they resonate with my spirit. And I was watching Kelly Clarkson's show yesterday, and I can't even tell you who the actress was. I didn't catch her name. Anyway, she said it wasn't until she had a bad diagnosis that she realized that she can't climb a mountain with the baggage from the past on her back. And when she got an adverse diagnosis, she was able to shed herself because she realized then how irrelevant it was in the big scheme of things. And what she said made so much sense with or without a diagnosis. And let's hope nobody needs to have a bad diagnosis to realize this. But we've all had good and bad happen to us in the past, and most of it good. But sometimes, and I don't know why, but the bad seems to always come to the forefront. Well, we need to let that baggage go to be free to be our best selves. And part of being our best self is being available and honoring your anointing. And really, if you're blessed enough to have an anointing, to realize what that is and honor it and be the best that you can be, do the steps that need to be taken for your calling, for your anointing. How blessed are you? How exciting is that? And no matter what happens to you, no matter how you're feeling, you will do a good job. You will be the best at it because you are guided. And you will have that extraordinary faith that you are being guided and that you can be you. And you're going to do a good job no matter what. I'm going to tell you a little story, and this is the absolute truth. In doing this podcast, it was really interesting how it came to me. I felt motivated to ask a friend of mine what he thought I should be doing because I was just kind of hanging out and I was doing the auditions for voiceover. And he said, why don't you make a podcast? You have all the equipment. And honestly, I wasn't even sure what a podcast was. I really had never listened to one. So I looked it up, I Googled it, and one thing led to the other. And then when I was doing my podcast, it was like I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly or appropriately or how you're supposed to be doing it. But in my little studio, I have a little studio in my bedroom, and I felt a guidance like you wouldn't believe. I felt a holy presence, and I still do. It's very interesting because when I talk to you, I think I've shared this with you before, I just start talking, and there's a presence and a guidance. And my belief is that what I'm saying is resonating with someone or hopefully a lot of someone's, that it can help. And actually, I learn from it myself. Sometimes when I'm editing, I listen to it and I think, I don't remember saying that, but I also learn from this because it is my anointing. And then we'll step back and go into voiceover again. I really developed a frustration. I always felt like I was beating my head against the wall because I would do so many auditions and it wasn't fruitful and I would just get frustrated. So I realized that the voiceover is what I want. I won't say it's my anointing, but I feel like for some reason, this podcast is what I am supposed to be doing. And the information that I'm giving you comes from God, a spiritual source. And I decided this is what I want to do, and I want to be obedient in it. So each week when I present something to you is something that I'll be in the oddest place, and it'll come to me. And I'm sure God's desire is that it reaches somebody that it can help. It reaches the right person or persons. So how do we distinguish or find what our anointing is or should be? First of all, we need to back up and go through the steps of clearing your head, clearing yourself of the past. Because if you live in the past, you can't live in the present moment. And as I said before, you need to be in the present moment to get inspiration, to get messages. And then when you meditate, you listen to that still small voice. I think following your anointing, your calling, is the next step to everything that we've talked about. We've talked about so many different things, having more positive people in your life, being in the present moment, letting the past go. And then I believe this is the next step. The next step is seeking your anointing, seeking what you're supposed to be doing. And you will be shocked how good you are at it. If your desire is to do the best that you can do, and it is meant to be, you will be guided in the steps that it takes to do it. I'm going to refer back to this podcast again. There was so much I didn't know. But after I started making episodes, I would read or listen to things about podcasting. And ironically, a lot of the things that I was doing, that I was guided to do, were actually correct. And so I feel like it is a divine guidance. Now, I don't know what yours is. It's very exciting to put one foot in front of the other, but this is what's going to make you the person that you are meant to be. And when you have the peace of mind living in the present moment, trusting yourself, trusting God. And then this being the next step, life is coming full circle, and it is so exciting. It's so exciting to see what the next step is for you. It's so exciting to live in peace, live in love, be the person you're supposed to be what you're supposed to be. And actually, I don't think it's ever finished. I think there's always that next rung on the ladder. That's kind of where we're at right now. But tomorrow, something else could open up. And I think if we got it all at once, we would be overwhelmed. But it's exciting to see what the next step is, the next rung on the ladder is. We're all on a different path, and we all have our own personal desires for whatever reason. But we don't really know if we achieve that goal, if it would bring happiness or what it might bring. So be open to being guided to what and where you are supposed to be. Always be your best self. Always strive to be present. And remember what that lady had said on the interview yesterday, that it's tough to climb a mountain when you have the weight of the past on your back. And again, you don't want to look too far into the future, but you want to keep an open mind to what the future plans are for you. And they will unfold in their own time when the time is right, because sometimes if you get too much at once, you get overwhelmed. Again, it doesn't matter what anyone says. It's a time for you to break away in terms of your individuality. You can still be with the people you love and still be surrounded by all of them. But within yourself, you've got to know that you're an individual and you're on the path that you're supposed to be on. Nobody can tell you what that path is. You've just got to believe it and know it and walk in it. And part of that is becoming so confident because your feet are rooted, you're grounded in what you're supposed to be doing. You're grounded in living in the present moment, being open to opportunities, but yet being who you are supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. And with that brings peace. I know so many people want to give us their opinions. In fact, it gets almost confusing. But you have to rely on yourself, and that's really the only person you can rely on. Then the doors open, because they're not opening for what somebody else is saying. They're not opening because somebody else is guiding you. They're opening because you believe in God, you have faith, you look up, and you open yourself to the anointing that is made for you and only you. We all have our own. So when you get yours, embrace it, do it. It's part of who you are. You can still love the people around you, and you will love more fully because you have become whole, because you've learned to live in the present moment. You've learned to walk in your anointing. You've learned to be the person that you are meant to be. How exciting. And what a wonderful way to live. What a wonderful life. With that, I say God bless you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.